Welcome back to Baby Takes. We got a Monday video for you, or we're recording it on Monday. You'll probably see it on Tuesday. We're going to start with our sponsors. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, you see the title. But let's start off with the hot streak. I won big yesterday in hot streak. I'm really killing it with these NFL parlays. It's really easy, really fun to do, and usually they have good odds for you, so it's not too difficult. I think I need Mercedes Lewis to catch six yards, and I think I'm good. But hot streak's going great. Use our code BABY to help us out a little bit. You can also bet on baseball, and then obviously when basketball starts again, you can bet on basketball. But football is a big one right now, so use our code BABY at registration. Zach, what do you got for Bucked Up?
Same as usual. Got that baby one code, 20%. Still working on that pumpocalypse I got going. Still working great. Getting some big lifts in. Big 6 a.m. lift this morning. Used it. Worked really well. It's not a pre-workout, so it's not like wake you up type thing. It's just like puts more oxygen towards your muscles and gives you
like
a lift.
Is that what creatine does? No, creatine's the blood flow.
This is kind of like a creatine, but a few more ingredients.
Yeah.
Like a better version of creatine is how I describe it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right.
They got all kinds of good stuff on there.
So yeah, use our code BABY1 for 20% off everything there. And the free sample is still going. So I'll leave that link in the description. It's also in the description or the bio of our Instagram, and it's usually on every whenever we tweet out the video, it'll usually be on there too. But let's get right into it. I don't really want to show this. We did horrible this week on Pick'em. Zach did a little worse.
I got some defending to do here.
As you can see, Zach only got one right. He went a little risky.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
So total this week, I lost by 61 points. All my games combined. If you divide that out, that's 8 points a game. And you got to factor in the fact that Miami lost by 21.
Yeah.
And Indiana lost by 14. You take those two out, we lost by like less than 6 a game. Some games lost by 2 or 3.
Hey, a loss is a loss. That's all that matters.
But it was just an unlucky week. Not a bad.
Yeah, it was unlucky for sure. Let's start off at the top. Michigan State, Miami. I knew Miami was far too overhyped. Michigan State's rolling. We'll see what they can do against Nebraska this week. Utah, San Diego State. None of us predicted that. San Diego State came out and played a great game, just like West Virginia, Virginia Tech. It's looking like North Carolina was really overhyped because Virginia Tech knocked them off, obviously got them into rankings, and then West Virginia knocks them off. Penn State, oh my goodness. Penn State might be the real deal this year.
Yeah, I think Penn State, Iowa, those are the favorites right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Big Ten.
Penn State came out, knocked off a really good SEC opponent in Auburn. Coastal Carolina keeps winning. It was a close one, but they stayed ahead. It's a good Buffalo team, so Coastal Carolina wins there. Alabama, I thought this was an easy pick, but Florida came out ready to play, pushed them all the way to the wire. It was a pretty – I think it was like 23-10 at one point. But then Florida came back firing in that fourth quarter. Cincinnati looks amazing this year. Indiana played them tough. Indiana's a good team, but Cincinnati looks really good this year. And then Nebraska, Oklahoma, tough game. But I'm proud because my prediction stayed. I said bet against the spread, and Nebraska showed that they can hang with them. So we're going to see if what we think Oklahoma should be ranked when we get to these rankings that we're about to do. But as you can see, Zach has dropped to 11-13. I'm not too much better at 15-9. It looks better because I have a winning record, but it's really not too much better. So let's stop this share real quick. All right, so we got our rankings, and we only rank the top 10. So this is our power rankings, by the way. So like, if there's an undefeated team, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be ranked over a team that has a loss. I don't know about Zach's list. I haven't heard Zach's list, but in my list case, just because you're undefeated doesn't mean you're higher than someone with a loss or something like that. So I'll start off with my 10. My number 10 is Texas A&M. They're currently ranked 7th, I believe, in the AP poll, but they won a close one against Colorado. They have a freshman starting at quarterback, so they're a good team. I still have them as a top 10 team, obviously, but I think they're a little overhyped. What do you got for number 10?
Yeah, I got number 10, Ole Miss.
That's a good one.
3-0 right now. You said records don't matter, but they are 3-0. And QB Matt Corral, 14 touchdowns right now.
Yep, he's playing amazing.
Played pretty dang good. And yeah, they got number 1 Alabama this week. I can see how they test up against them.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Alabama's not.
They're beatable. They're beatable.
Yeah, they're definitely beatable. So
I don't think there's a team out there that's like miles ahead than the rest, and I think this weekend definitely showed that.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 9, this is my biggest dropper. So basically the team that fell the most. At number 9, I have Oklahoma. Oklahoma has all the talent in the world. I've said it again and again. They have one of the most talented rosters in the nation, but they just can't seem to put it together. And they played, I mean, Nebraska is not a terrible team, but they're obviously not on the same level as Oklahoma. And Nebraska was able to stay in that game and keep it to a 7-point game. And it's not a good sight when your Heisman favorite gets outplayed by a guy that's been a disappointment for the past 3 years. So I have Oklahoma at 9. Last year, Oklahoma started off slow and then ramped it up, ended up destroying Florida in the bowl game. So maybe Oklahoma's just getting its feet wet a little bit, but yeah, I have Oklahoma at 9.
Yeah, I'm gonna go number 9, Texas A&M, just one higher than you with them. They got Arkansas this week
That's gonna be
at
a tough
home.
one.
That'll be a really good game. I feel like. See, this is another one that I feel like I don't know if the Arkansas being number 16 is legit because, I mean, they obviously beat Texas when they're really high, which obviously threw them into the rankings. But is Texas legit?
Yeah.
That's what I think about that. Really good team, obviously in the SEC, playing quality opponents all year long. So this should be a good one.
Yeah. So my number 8 is Ole Miss. I love Ole Miss this year. Matt Corral has shown that he's should be considered for the Heisman. He's going off right now. We're going to see what he can actually do this week, I think, against Alabama. We're going to see if Ole Miss is actually legit. They got a good coach over there with Lane Kiffin. So I think I love Ole Miss this year. I love it. I've liked Matt Corral for a long time. I actually wanted my Broncos to draft him in this following draft, but right now Teddy Bridgewater is going off. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Ole Miss can do this weekend against Alabama. They're my number 8.
Yeah. My number 8. Yes. My number 8 will be no other than the Oklahoma University. Obviously, not showing the best right now. Definitely has potential to climb back up to that playoff spot. But you know, usually out there making huge plays on offense, and they didn't. Made a huge play on defense, but if Nebraska makes those field goals and they don't get that extra point block and take it back for 2, they win that game. Not to say Nebraska's a bad team, but I definitely don't think they're a top 4 team, let alone a top 10 team. So Oklahoma's got the stuff to do it. They just got to put it together and prove it before they deserve to be up there.
And something that's very real, Oklahoma might not lose another game because I think, in my opinion, I think Nebraska is probably the toughest defense they'll face for the rest of the year until if they make the playoff, obviously.
Yeah, I think this only showed that that Big 12 defense is not legit, even though people thought it was. The Oklahoma and Big 10 defense is legit.
Yeah,
no matter what level of team it is, it's legit.
It's a totally different ball game there. But my number 7 is a team that I mentioned that had one loss. My number 7 is Florida. I wasn't very high on Florida. I didn't know what to expect, really. They were still figuring out that quarterback situation. This week they come out, their quarterback plays great. Obviously, they lose to Alabama by 2 points, show that they're the real deal. I don't know what to take of it, really. It's a good game, but they were also down 23-10 in the fourth quarter. A few breaks went their way. So I like Florida. I like Florida a lot. I have them at number 7 with the potential to get it even higher because we'll see what happens with the whole Georgia-Alabama thing.
Yeah. My number 7 is Iowa. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Iowa is a great team, but I do not see them competing in the top 5, let alone the top 4. Teams like Oregon and Georgia and Bama and, teams like that, even like Clemson, I just don't see them competing with. It's just like they got a great defense, but Spencer Petras just time and time again puts them in a hole where they don't need to be. And you, as a number 5 team, you can't do that. So I'm gonna put them at number 7.
Yeah, it's a good pick. You mentioned Clemson. My big surprise, Clemson's not on my list. They have not impressed me at all this year. They just barely squeaked out a win against Georgia Tech, who last year they beat. I think the score was 73-9. Georgia Tech's a good team. They're a rising program, but Clemson's supposed to be this dominant force. Their defense is still there, but that offense just looks weirdly bad. It's weird. But so Clemson didn't make my list. I just wanted to mention that. Number 6 is Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati. Desmond Ritter's playing out of his mind, and this is not your usual group of 5 powerhouse. Usually the group of 5 teams that are ranked high have explosive offenses. They score a lot of points. Cincinnati wins their games with their defense. Cincinnati's defense has been really, really dominant this year. And I'm excited to see this. I think it's this weekend. Cincinnati plays Notre Dame. Notre Dame's another team that didn't make my list. And I'm excited. I really want to. If Cincinnati knocks off Notre Dame, you gotta make a legit point for them in the playoff. Because I think after Notre Dame, I think it's all conference games from then out. So not too worried about them losing another game. So if they knock out Notre Dame, if there's a question at the end of the season, you can't hold Cincinnati out because of competition because they already beat Indiana. If they're in that conversation, that means they beat Notre Dame. So Cincinnati's legit, and I really like them. I got them at number 6.
Yeah, I'm also going to say Clemson is not on my list. A big reason for that for me was that right now they're ranked last in the ACC in yards per play. at just a little under 5 yards per play. And people may say, well, they had a tough game against Georgia, big defensive battle, didn't get enough. But they came back and had the opportunity to play South Carolina State to balance that out and are still not up
Mhm.
there with their offense. And I think it's obviously hard, going from Trevor Lawrence to a guy
Yeah.
that's not nearly the level and trying to run that same offense, trying to run that same intensity. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
With that being said, my number 6 is Cincinnati as well. Very good offense out there. Obviously, Doesn't Murder is legit. My only issue with them is right now, um, got a lot of penalties going on. Not like Nebraska level of penalties, but Cincinnati does have quite a few penalties going on right now. And once they can get those cleaned up, I think they're a legit contender in the playoff.
Yeah. So my number 5 is someone that's already been mentioned. My number 5 is Iowa. It's really hard to gauge where Iowa needs to be because they really haven't had a close game, but you can also look at their schedule and I mean, it's a question mark. Like, who have they played that we know is really good?
Yeah, I mean, is Indiana legit?
Yeah.
Is
Is
Iowa
Indiana
State
legit? Is
legit?
Iowa State? Then they beat Kent State last week. And I mean, they
And
didn't
there,
beat,
it was close at half. It was
yeah,
10-9
it
at
wasn't
half.
even like a dominant game. Iowa's always going to be a solid team. I'm not worried about Iowa's always going to have a winning record. Um, but I think ranking them at 5 is a little it's weird because I don't know where to rank them. Cincinnati honestly could be above them. Florida could be above them. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M could be above them. I don't know where to rank Iowa, but they've just looked so good so far. It's hard not to put them in the top 5. So they're my number 5.
Yeah. I'm gonna go my number 5, already also been mentioned, Florida. Uh, so a lot of people say like that, whatever, 2-1, they were down big against Alabama. But last year they had the number 1 passing offense in the SEC and were 11th in rushing in the nation. Uh, this year they're number 1 in rushing and number 10 in passing. And so obviously great offense going with them, and that's what's gonna put you aside in the SEC because everyone's got a great defense in the SEC.
Mm.
So you got to have that high-powered offense to put you aside from all the others. So my number 5 is Florida right now, which is pretty crazy considering the number 5 in the country, number 3 in the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. My number 4 is a surprise team this year, Oregon. Oregon has been really good this year. Obviously, they knocked off Ohio State, who also didn't make my list. I don't think that's too much of a surprise, but Oregon's looked amazing this year. Their quarterback, Anthony Brown, I think is his name. He's a transfer from Boston College. He played a lot there, and he's been showing that he can run the ball, but he can also throw the ball really well. And Oregon's defense, especially when Kayvon Thibodeau comes back, he's probably the best defensive, maybe the best player in college football. So if Kayvon Thibodeau can make his way back in the lineup, I'm not too worried that Oregon can't be in this playoff push.
Yeah. So my number, we're on 5
Four.
now.
4.
4. Yes. My number 4 is you haven't mentioned them. Penn State. Penn State has had 2 huge wins. I believe are actually legit wins. Wisconsin, that's a legit win. Auburn, that's a legit win. Their wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, great receiver. He's legit. Had some very good catches. Only 10 passes caught for 78 yards, but some really tough ones up there against Auburn, which is a great defense, obviously. And I think that's my Big Ten favorite, and I could see them making it in the playoffs. I think they were in the playoffs a few years ago, or at least pretty close to it. back there
I
in
think they're pretty
Troy.
close with Saquon one year. I think they're pretty
Yes.
close.
Yeah.
Uh,
And so I think, and that was a big whiteout game. I think the fans got, excited for that. And I think Penn State's back where they used to be. Penn State's back at the top where they belong.
yeah, Penn State's definitely proving that last year was just a weird year. Sean Clifford's been playing out of his mind this year, and
Mm-hmm.
that team as a whole is just playing really well, and that's why they're my number three. Um, you said that Wisconsin game was legit. I don't know what to make of Wisconsin yet. Graham Mertz hasn't looked amazing, but yeah, I mean Wisconsin's always a good team, so it's a good win. And that Big Ten opponent, it's always going to be a close game. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the Auburn win was a bigger win than the Wisconsin one because you know that Auburn has that SEC type defense. Bo Nix played really good this game, I think, shown that he's a really good quarterback. And Tank Bigsby, I think, is the running back's name. He's a stud. So Auburn's a really good team, and Penn State obviously beat them. So I have Penn State at number three with some really good potential in that Big Ten.
Yeah. My number three is Oregon. Oregon's a really good team. Beat Ohio State. Looking really good out there. Just got a great team overall. Anthony Brown was hurt this last weekend a little bit. Nothing crazy, but so that's obviously a scare when your star QB gets hurt. But they got Arizona this Saturday, so obviously not a crazy game for them. So he should take some rest if he needs it. Sure, they got a great backup that can go in there and get the job done with that great team around him.
Mhm. So on to number two, my number two is it was really tough. It was really tough deciding between Georgia and Alabama because Alabama obviously showed that they can be beatable, and Georgia is still dominant. But Georgia is my number two. JT Daniels is the real deal. I know he got hurt a little bit, but I think he's going to be fine. Their defense, oh my goodness, their defense is amazing. They got that transfer from Clemson that just came in, and he's out of this world. So Georgia and Alabama are really close for me. Um, that fight for that Big Ten title is going to be really tight all year.
SEC.
Yeah, it's SEC, and I'm pretty sure Georgia, Alabama, and Georgia play during the year. I mean, I think they always do. Um, let me just figure that out real quick. But I think this is the year that Georgia can really make a push.
They do not. They do not.
They don't play this year.
No.
Oh, and then Alabama and Ole Miss don't play this week. They
No.
play next.
Alabama and Southern Miss.
Yeah, they play next week. But aside from that, so yeah, Georgia and Alabama, I could see that definitely being the SEC championship, and I'm really excited to see it. I want to. Obviously, I'm not writing off any other team. Texas A&M is still undefeated. Ole Miss, obviously, still undefeated, but Georgia just looks better than them right now, and the SEC is stacked always. I mean, nothing new. So Georgia is my number two.
Hang on. This is some big news in the sleeper app right now. So
Aaron Jones. Oh, oh my
so
goodness.
I went into today up 138 to 97. Aaron Jones right now has 41 points. Aaron Jones needs to put up 0.33 for me to lose this game. Never thought this would happen. This is quite disappointing.
That's
Not
insane.
disappointing. This is just out of his mind.
Crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. All right. So what do you who's your number two? Who's your number two?
Yeah, so my number two is Georgia. JT Daniels coming out, doing for 303 yards, 3 TDs against South Carolina. He's legit. I think Georgia and Alabama can play for not only the SEC championship, but if Georgia or Alabama, whoever wins that SEC title, the loser, if they can stay in the playoff, I think it can also be a national title game. Just a rematch a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty crazy. Yeah, I think these teams are above the rest. I don't even think it's a question, which obviously we both know our number ones.
Yeah. Number one's Alabama. Bryce Young has looked unbelievable. Living up to the hype for sure. That defense, obviously, always great. Uh, looks like Alabama has another first round receiver this year with John Mechie. Uh, it's unreal. But they showed, we're talking about how good they are, but they showed that they could be beat this year. So, sorry, Bennett is sleeping. I'll actually go get him real quick while Zachary talks about Alabama.
Yeah, so my number one is Alabama, obviously. They did give up 258 yards to Florida, which really isn't anything insane. That's not a whole lot. But the Bama backs ran 24 times for the tailbacks, 24 times for 95 yards. It's about 4 yards a carry. That's some power running right there. It's exactly what you're going to see in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, this team is always going to be up there. 1, 2, wherever it's at. I don't know when the last time this team dropped out of the top 10 was. But yeah, Bama's always going to be up there.
Yeah.
You're always gonna be scared of Bama.
Yeah. So that's our top tens. And now really quickly, or not really quickly, I guess we can take however long we want, but we're going to talk about each game this week in the NFL, and we're just going to highlight what we think about each team really. I guess we'll start with the Monday night game that's happening right now. The Packers are up on the Lions 35-17.
Yeah.
Packers look to be back. Aaron Rodgers playing great today. Obviously, you heard
As well as
Aaron
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones playing great. Devontae Adams went over 100 yards. So the Packers look to be back. I think that was just a week one weird thing. But the Lions are still in the game. It's not over. There's 11 minutes left. It's a 3-score game right now, so it's pretty unlikely that the Lions come back, but you never know. And as I said before in our bold predictions, the Lions are going to be in every game. For some reason, they just stay in the game. Got anything to say about that before we move on?
Yeah, so not very happy with Aaron Jones right now. I had a 99% chance to win this fantasy game going into tonight, only to realize that now I have a 30% chance, not even, to win this game. So that sucks. Probably gonna take an L this week.
Oh, and speaking of fantasy, our fantasy awards will be in the first reactions video later this week.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to Thursday night football with Giants in Washington. Oh my goodness, did you watch that game?
Giants in Washington. No.
Okay, so Washington was up by 1. Giants had a chance to kick the field goal. Or no. Washington was down by 2. Yeah. Washington was down by 2. Last seconds of the game. Washington kicks it, misses. Everyone starts going crazy, and everyone sees there's a flag on the field. Giants were offsides. Washington lines it back up. Washington kicks it. It's good. Washington wins the game. It was absolutely unbelievable. Taylor Heineke played really, really good in the absence of Ryan Fitzpatrick. He threw for 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Terry McLaurin went crazy. But somebody else that went crazy was Daniel Jones. He threw for 250, a touchdown, ran for 95 yards and a touchdown. Daniel Jones looks to be not the problem in New York right now. I'm sure people are going to make it out to seem like Daniel Jones is the problem, but Daniel Jones is playing pretty good right now. You got anything before we move on to the Sunday slate?
Yeah. I think this may be the time Cam Newton might try to make a run at the old Washington football team here. Pick himself up a job, maybe.
Maybe.
Uh,
His old coach is the coach.
yeah, I mean, that's his best bet right now. No one else really wants that guy. So his best bet would be going after that.
Yeah. Next up, we got the Broncos and Jags. This was one of the 12 o'clock games. Broncos continue to look really good. Teddy Bridgewater continues to look really good. Went for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cortland Sutton had 9 receptions, 159 yards. The Denver defense continues to look good as they held Trevor Lawrence to 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, less than 50% completion percentage. I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence being good or not. I just think he has nobody around him in Jacksonville. And the play calling is just weird. James Robinson only ran the ball 11 times. Urban Meyer's not making much sense to me. So that's what I got to say about this Denver game. Denver won it 23-13.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really didn't watch a whole lot of NFL this weekend. I watched the Chiefs game.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs
Oh,
and Ravens.
that was a crazy one.
That was a crazy game. Can't believe Lamar got that first, but he made the call on that. So
yeah,
great call.
We'll talk about that one later. Bengals Bears not.
I watched the Cardinals Vikings game.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that one too. Bengals Bears, not much to talk about. Justin Fields gets his first action. The main storyline is Matt Nagy is being an idiot. He says even when Andy Dalton gets healthy, when Andy Dalton gets healthy, he's still going to be the quarterback one. It just doesn't make sense to me. And like I said last week, when Justin Fields plays, the Bears have a better chance of winning. And he played, and they won. So sure, they beat the Bengals, but I don't know. Texans Browns, another game that didn't really mean much. Tyrod Taylor played good. He only threw 1 incompletion, but he was also hurt for a little bit. Baker Mayfield played okay. Nick Chubb, obviously. It just wasn't a really exciting game. Browns win 31-21. And if you have something to say about these games, just hop in. But you just said you didn't watch much, so I'm just blowing through them. Rams Colts was a really good game. Carson Wentz goes down with an injury. Said he's dealing with 2 ankle sprains right now, which is crazy. So Jacob Eason's looking to get the start this week. But Matt Stafford continues to look really good. The Rams continue to look really good. This was a really close game. Rams ended up winning 27-24. Bills, Dolphins. Bills just dominated the Dolphins. Big storyline is Tua gets hurt. Tua got hurt. Jacoby Brissett came in as a starter. Patriots, Jets. Oh my God, Zach Wilson looked horrible. Threw 4 interceptions. Mac Jones did what Mac Jones does. Just didn't make mistakes. James White came out and led the team in receiving, which is really, really good for my fantasy bench. 49ers, Eagles. Eagles continue to look good. The 49ers did win this one, but nobody expected the Eagles to be anything in this. Jalen Hurts, not his best game, but he had a really good game running the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo managed the game well. The big storyline here is 3 of the 49ers running backs went down with an injury this week. So we'll see what happens there. Deebo Samuel continues to look good have good chemistry with Jimmy G. Raiders Steelers was a really good game. Derek Carr played it out of his mind. Sorry. Threw for 382, 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris continues to look not good. Um, Henry
Hey,
Ruggs
he,
came
he
out.
did he did all right. He did all right this week. He did all right.
He did all right fantasy wise, but he only ran for like 30 yards. Viking, no, not yet. Saints Panthers. This was a weird one. Panthers destroy the Saints after a dominant win from the Saints in week 1. Carolina's 2-0. Crazy. Sam Darnold looks really good, throws for 300 yards. Christian McCaffrey obviously did amazing. But the Saints also were down like 7 coaches. So not too worried about that one. Vikings Cardinals. This is one I want to talk about. This was a crazy game.
Yeah, Vikings fans continue to let their fans down, giving them hope, only to rip it from their cold-blooded hands.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins played a really good game, threw for 3 touchdowns. Zach's computer probably just died. Dalvin Cook played good. He went down with an injury, but I think he's okay. Kyler Murray continues to look amazing. Did throw 2 picks, but not too worried about that. Rondale Moore looks to be a big waiver wire pickup this week. And I think Zach is back. Zach's back.
Yep. Your computer died there.
So yeah,
Back on the iPhone.
the Vikings did what the Vikings do, and the Vikings missed a field goal to win it for the Cardinals. Falcons Bucks. Bucks wiped the floor with them. Tom Brady continues to look like the best he's ever looked, which is stupid. It's not fair. Matt Ryan threw 3 picks, but Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns. So it's just not fair at this point. Cowboys Chargers was not the shootout that everyone thought it was going to be. Dak Prescott didn't throw a touchdown. The player of the game for the Cowboys was Tony Pollard, who had 109 yards rushing and a touchdown. Justin Herbert looked okay. He threw 2 picks and a touchdown, but only incompleted 10 passes out of his 41. It was a close game. Cowboys are a good team. Titans Seahawks, an overtime game. Titans come back with vengeance. Geez, Derrick Henry. I mean, he just looks like he's not slowing down anytime soon. Ryan Tannehill threw for 347. Derrick Henry threw for 182 and 3 touchdowns. Julio Jones has a bounce back game, 6 receptions, 128 yards. Tyler Lockett plays good, had 178 yards. Russell Wilson still played good, but obviously someone's got to win. And actually, I guess someone doesn't have to win. There could be a tie, but Titans bounce back and beat the Seahawks. And then probably the game of the week, the game of the year so far, Chiefs and Ravens. Chiefs were up. They were up
Big.
a good. They were up a good amount, like 2 scores at
Oh,
one
yeah.
point. And Lamar just wills his team back. He threw 2 interceptions, but he also, I mean, it's crazy watching him run the ball.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
it's
the biggest
insane.
take from this game is that the Ravens locked Tyreek down.
Yeah.
Tyreek
Sadly,
caught-
because he's on one of my fantasy teams. But yeah. The coverage was great. Travis Kelce had a really, really good game. 7 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. But Marquise Brown actually outplayed him. 6 receptions, 113 yards, on a touchdown. And the story of the game is Lamar. I mean, threw for 239, a touchdown. Did throw those 2 picks, but he also had 16 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lamar's
with that 4th down run.
with that 4th down run. I love it because we were all watching the game downstairs, and it came to that 4th down, and one of my friends was like, "What if they just go for it?" And then you see John Harbaugh like, "You want to go for it?" And then obviously Lamar's not going to give up the chance to go for it. So, and the Chiefs knew what was happening. They just couldn't stop it. Lamar just is a different breed. Back to that MVP form, had a little down year last year. Down year, still was great. But yeah, Ravens finally get their first win over the Chiefs, or Lamar, I should say, get his first win over the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have a problem. That defense needs some work. Tyrann Mathieu's good, but other than that, they did not look good. But that's all the NFL games. Looks like the Packers have pretty much secured the win. There's like 5 minutes left, still up 3 scores. So it's looking like the Packers are going to win this one.
Let's see if I have secured the L.
You probably
I have indeed not yet.
not yet.
Packers defense. I have the Packers defense.
Oh, okay.
So if the Packers continue to play on defense, I'm up by a little over 2 points now, getting a little bit bigger lead. Right now, I'm expected to win.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to make you guys sit here and wait through all that, but
No, but crazy.
we'll mention it in the first reactions video this week. I don't know the topic yet. Something will probably happen that we'll talk about. So I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's all, man.
All right. This video will be out tomorrow. It'll be on Tuesday. So we will see you guys later this week.
Later.